Hey everyone, and welcome to the Sasquatch Theory Podcast. On this episode, we have Ty from the state of Oregon. He has had several Bigfoot encounters and many experiences. Ty talks about these creatures screaming in the woods, and it's definitely a chilling account. Ty has also found trackways in the forest and many structures. He talks about these arches and what they possibly could mean. And another interesting thing is he talks about the nest. I hear this a lot from the state of Oregon, and it seems like Oregon is an area where these things have their young, and they're very interesting. They look like a giant nest out in the woods, similar to an igloo with a lot of trees woven together. Ty has been in close proximity to these creatures, and he feels like they were just simply being territorial and they weren't out there to hurt them. He really enjoys getting out there in the forest and camping in Oregon, which I think is really cool. I would like to go to Oregon one day and camp out in the woods looking for Sasquatch. If you have a Bigfoot encounter that you would like to share with me here on the channel, please get in touch with me sometime at sasquatchtheory@outlook.com. I also want to say thank you everyone for listening to the channel and watching the research videos. It really means a lot, and it certainly helps out the channel. And of course, I am not deleting your guys' comments. They just seem to disappear. A lot of people are being unsubscribed. So if you guys can, please check to see if you're subscribed, hit the bell notification, and be sure to comment down below. All right, with all that being said, let's dive straight into our next Bigfoot podcast here on Sasquatch Theory. All right, Ty, welcome to Sasquatch Theory. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. And Ty, if you would, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your Bigfoot encounters and experiences from the very beginning, please.
I'm a native Oregonian. I was born and raised in Bend, Oregon. I'm a retired rancher. We had 4 ranches that I was on. And I didn't really know about Bigfoot until later in life when I ended up moving to Lincoln City and started watching shows. And then it got me really interested in doing some studying. So I went to I'd go to the library and hit the books, and I did a lot of studying, and I did a lot of outdoor work. And there in Lincoln City, saw a few evidence that a Squatch has been through. There was a nest on this, or this kind of a nest bed on the other side of this chain link fence, and there was a cliff right below it. So there wasn't any way for any human to be able to even do that. But it looked just like a bed that a Sasquatch or a young one would be able to live in, to lay in. And I've seen evidence of like the chain link fence being bent way down. And when I went out and followed it, there was Bigfoot prints all the way down the link chain fence, because I was living off of Devil's Lake at the time. And so we had bear, deer, any kind of wildlife around there, plus the water. And the Sasquatch literally took that chain link fence and bended it almost in a V shape to get over it. So I figure with the footprints and that, it was a pretty good size one. And then it was kind of a steep cliff getting down to the bottom, down to the river. And then I've seen them and have had experience with them from Newport, Oregon, cleared to Corvallis, actually. And I've had there in between out of Lincoln City. I was up on a dirt road with a group, a service road, and we walked up, and there was 2 big nests that they had built. And ended up like 12 to 13 feet away from a sleeping one. You could see the dark hair laying down there inside of the nest, and the service road was probably it was level with the nest. The nest was the same height as the road. And so got some pictures of that, and then got a picture. They had taken like 3 trees and bent them like in a rainbow shape, and it was awesome. I was so excited to see all this. That to be 12 or 13 feet from a sleeping one, and then there was one I could hear down below in the tree line was pacing back and forth. So I have a hunch it was the female in the nest, and the male was down below in the tree line. And I'd walk down the service road, and I could hear his footprints going the same direction as me. And I did that a couple times. And I couldn't get down the cliff because I wouldn't be able to get back up down the dirt side there. But so that was one of the experiences. And then there in Grand Ron, I was living in the RV park, and I looked down. I was dead at the river. It was kind of high because it was just getting into winter, and there was a big footprint right next to mine, and there was a Sasquatch. I don't know, maybe 20 feet from me, down in a bush, hunkered down in a bush, just screaming at me. And his screaming was just, it made my chest, you could feel it in the chest, definitely. Now I know what people talk about when they said they could feel it in their chest, because it was definitely a hard one. And I'm not afraid of them at all. I highly respect them. And I just stood there and listened to him screaming at me for a few seconds. And I said, I'm not afraid of you, but I do highly respect you. So I'm going to leave and let you have your space, and I'm going to go to my home. And they quit screaming at me. And then the place there where I had seen the nest, those 2 nests, I was up last September and found a lot of footprints. I didn't have any cast. I haven't done casting yet. I'm hoping to this summer and spring. And there was tons of footprints, and we heard a whistle. I took a couple people out, and they got to experience the whistle and see all the footprints and the trees bent and some old nest area. And I've seen them along the side of the road, because they do like orchards. And when I was going from Grand Ron to Corvallis one night, late at night, as we were going back that way, there was a squatch standing along the side of the road by a tree. He had been in the apple orchard. And it was so awesome. And then out of Corvallis, there was actually a really steep hill all the way on the right side of the road. And there was footprints all over there. And there was a Sasquatch literally shaking a tree. You couldn't see the Squatch itself because it was back a ways and it was kind of high up on the hill. But you could see the tree just shaking really hard. So I've seen tons and tons of footprints. I've seen trees bent over, branches broken. I always look to make sure, because some of those areas get heavy snow in the wintertime. But these weren't broken from the snow at all, because sometimes they do look like Squatch did it, and it's actually the snow that's done it, or the heavy rain and ice that we get every now and then. So it's just so exciting to see all this. And one time I was just staring out into this field, and I felt a presence, but I wasn't sure what that presence was. And I just stood there for about 20 minutes, just staring out in the field. And I looked over to my right, and it was a ways out. There was this, because had looked out there in this field before, and there wasn't this big black thing. And I'm like, there's something black there, but what's there? And I just stood there and watched it and watched it. And all of a sudden, I don't know where it went, but it was gone. And I know it was a Sasquatch because it was huge. It hovered over the hilly area right there, and it disappeared really quick. And I've seen him down coming from Newport into Lincoln City, down in the creek area, and there was one down there that squatched down getting clams and whatever they were else eating that day. So that's a lot of it that went on. I've heard a lot of knocks. I've heard whistles. I've heard some screams. Not too many screams, more knocks than anything else on it. But those were the areas from Newport clear to Corvallis was the biggest area I've been into.
I appreciate you for sharing that with me, and it sounds like you've had quite a few experiences. Whenever you had these encounters, could you see the creature? Could you like make out any features or anything like that?
The one that was laying in the nest was black hair, and I couldn't tell the way they were facing because I didn't want to end up, because I was kind of leaning into over the roof, and I didn't want to end up falling down inside of that. It wasn't a real safe area to be doing that in. But it was black and a lot of hair. And the one that I saw there in the field, it was just a big, huge black. And I know it was the hair, but it was just all black. I haven't seen the faces of them. It's usually their back or other parts of them, but I haven't been face to face with one yet, which I would just be ecstatic. I mean, it'd be great, from a distance anyway. Let's see, what was that other? Oh, the one that was when I was going to Corvallis that night. Since it was dark, but I did kind of get a face, and that one was kind of brownish with long hair, and its face, it had a squatchy face with the kind of the big eyes, and they kind of glowed a little bit. They were kind of red, and it did probably about 7.5 feet tall, at least. It wasn't a real small one on those. But otherwise, no, I haven't been. That was the only face-to-face one.
Yeah, that is interesting. And the tracks that you found, did you take any photographs of them or any of the structures?
I do have pictures of some of the structures. I had one of the footprint there in Grand Ron, where I was right across the creek from one, but it was on an old phone that I don't have anymore. But I have taken some pictures, and some of them are hard to tell, but there's a few that you can kind of see the toe imprint and the heel, you can tell. And I'd put my foot right up against it, and I got between a size 5.5 to a 6 shoe, and it was way bigger. But the structures, I've got a lot of structure pictures, and it was great.
That's pretty cool. What do you think the structures represent, and what do you think they mean to the Sasquatch?
Some of the structures where it kind of looks like a tent, a teepee type setting, where the the trees are crisscross and stuff, that's basically they're they're letting you know that's their territory, or letting the other squatches know that's their territory. That they could, you know, you don't want to go past that, or they're setting up their territory. It's basically territorial stuff.
Yeah, I would tend to
Yeah.
agree, and I think they're communicating with one another and kind of warning humans to stay out.
Yes, they do. And you also, people, when you do go out, they also can sit up in trees. And so I'm always, when I'm out, I'd be looking up just in the trees too, because you could walk, they could be up in a tree, even the adults, and you, if you're not looking up, you can miss it.
Yeah, I
And
hear
they
that a
love
lot.
owls, and they love to. I always take a gift out for them because I have Ojibwe, and I always like to take a gift out to them. Like peanut, they love peanut butter and apples, but they also like donuts. And because they already eat berries, they are so strong that they can take a deer, run after deer, and grab it and break its neck and carry it off just like we carry a bag of groceries, basically. I haven't seen it done except for, what I watch a lot of shows and everything, but they can get up to 12, 13 feet tall. But for this area, I would say maybe 7 to 9 feet tall for the height around this area.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Have you ever spoken with anyone from the area that's had encounters with these creatures in Oregon?
I've been to Cliff's museum. I haven't had a chance to talk with him, or really, no, I haven't. I haven't had the chance to. I'd love to, if anybody out there might be interested in getting a hold of me. Um, I'd love to hear what other people have experienced and what they have done. I'm This spring and summer, my goal is to just go out and go down to the river and look for uh, fresh prints, or get some prints done and get some casting done this year.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for people that would like to go and do that.
Yeah. And I've heard that, like, in Washington and Oregon, they got Bigfoot warning signs in some national forest. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I haven't seen anything like that, not in Oregon so far. Um, but like I said, I haven't had the chance to get over to Washington, and it'd be great to go over to some of those campgrounds over there. And when it's not a busy season, and stay over for 2 or 3 nights and see what I could find out over there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And are the camping areas, usually pretty busy with people?
Yeah, but they start in the spring, and then summer. You have to book it like a year ahead to be able to even get into the campgrounds. And then if they don't allow you to be going through there unless you're camping there. So um you'd have to reserve pretty early to get a campground. Now for the wintertime, I'm not really sure. I don't think they reserve in the wintertime, because not too many people want to go out and camp out in 2 to 3 feet of snow up in the Washington area anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was hearing that there's a lot of people camping in the Oregon forest, and I think when the COVID thing happened, there was all kinds of people just like living out there, and just kind of some strange groups.
Yeah, there was, and I didn't go out in the forest really by myself. for that reason, because you don't know who's out there. And that's fine if that's what they'd like to do, as long as they're safe. But just to get out there and do some camping for 2 or 3 nights and do some um, walking around at night and doing some calls. I love doing calls, and I've gotten calls back. But if there are other people around, then there's a chance, they might decide to just be silly and call back. That's happened before too, but not with me per se. But I've heard it has happened with other people through the shows. But yeah, it's exciting, and there are people out there that don't believe in Bigfoot and don't believe they exist, and that's okay. That's their right. But to it's really helpful to be open-minded about this, because there's been so many sightings, thousands of sightings that people have actually seen. But I also get it, if the person, they need to see it to believe it for themselves, and that's okay too. Either way.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I was a skeptical at one point, even after having Bigfoot experiences, and it took seeing them to actually believe it, and it blew my mind away.
Yeah, it can be, and it can be scary for people. When I took that group out where we found the nest, and one of the persons, they saw the trees bent like a rainbow, they just turned pale. I thought they were going to pass out. They got so scared, and it was like, we're okay, we're going to be fine. We're all right. Even though there was one the pacing back and forth, keeping an eye on us. And that's what they need to, that's what they do. But yeah, it can be kind of scary, but it's also really just, for me anyway, it's just adrenaline, and it's so exciting to be able to see that all this experience, see the experience that I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And awareness is key. People need to know that they're out there, and especially people that venture through the forest, because one day they might run into one of these things. And it's good to know about them and be open minded, because if you do see one, you'll handle it a little bit better than someone who had no idea they were out there and their world got turned upside down.
Right. Exactly. And if you're out and you do see one, they're more curious about us just as much as we're curious about them. The only reason why they would hurt anybody, I feel, is if they were cornered. And if you corner anybody, they're going to get defensive. So, if you do see one from a distance or a ways away, just, take a deep breath and just slowly walk away, and it's going to be okay. Or just watch them, because they enjoy, and they also like to come into campgrounds too when people are camping. They get their interest, and they I understand they like to hear music and noises, and they're just curious. And it doesn't hurt if you're camping to take out some apples and a few things and go set them along a log or something like that, and just see what happens. See, check it later to see if it disappears or not. And then if they're gone, check for footprints. And then you'll kind of get an answer what was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are your plans in the future with Sasquatching? Are you going to take groups out there, or are you going to camp out there like you said?
Well, I would like to find a few people that would like to go camping this year. I don't have a vehicle myself anymore because I don't drive, but and I am disabled, but I am able to get out there and do some stuff, and with camping would be one of them, and then just do some exploring at night and do some calls. And so if anybody would like to be interested in doing this, I'd, that'd be great. I'm all for it. And I'd like to teach. I'd like to show and teach people also
Yeah,
what
that
it's
sounds
all.
good. And anyone listening wants to go out with Ty, leave a comment down below, and Ty will comment back, and you guys can get in touch from there.
Now, how uh, is this going to be on YouTube, or how will this be set up
It'll be
for?
on YouTube, but it also goes up on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other platforms. Apple
Okay,
Podcast. Yeah.
because I have YouTube, so they can get a hold of me on YouTube, and I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Do you have any other experiences or anything else you'd like to share?
Um, I've had a lot of paranormal experiences where we live, and it's been really awesome. It's been all friendly. There hasn't been any. They like to play little jokes on me every once in a while and move something around a little bit, but otherwise, just paranormal and Sasquatch.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. And you take objects moving as friendly? Do you really believe that it's something good, or what do you think?
Yeah, I feel that it's good. I've had them bump my bed. I've heard them walk by my bed, and they when they bump my bed, they don't. It's not real hard. It's just like, hey, I'm here, and I've actually seen them come through the front room by my plants, and I've seen them come through the bedroom. See these little orb things um go through, and like two adults and a child, and I've seen like a adult one go through the bedroom, and yeah, there's I don't feel any threat with them, and I always welcome them into the home.
Yeah, that is an interesting take on it. Just be aware that these experiences could escalate in the future, especially if you invite them in, and you just know that it could turn negative. So be aware of that.
Yeah, that's true. There's only one that I was kind of wondering about because I was awake when this happened. There was this black streak that went through the our bedroom, and I'm like, a black one. I wonder what that means. But I didn't feel a threat from it. And we had a really close friend that just passed away last year. And I said, because she believes in paranormal, I said, come and visit. And she did one night. She came and visited, and I could tell by the bump on my bed because she helped me find my bed that I have. And I just had that feeling it was her, and my wife had the same presence that it was her around her. And it's it's just amazing either way. And I'm just very grateful to have this experience with paranormal and with Sasquatch. I feel honored, actually.
Yeah. That is very interesting. I've spoke with many people who have had Bigfoot encounters, and a majority of them say they have experienced paranormal activity. And then I've talked to many, many, many skeptics, and they say they've never seen Bigfoot, they've never had a paranormal experience or anything out of the normal.
Yeah, I feel that I'm honored that they're letting me into their life or whatever you might want to call it, into their experience, I guess. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I I really love it.
And I know you said you've invited them in. Have you ever contacted like a spirit guide or a medium? Have you ever played with like tarot cards, Ouija board, a pendulum, anything like that?
No, I haven't. I've thought about that, and that's as far as I got with it. I haven't gotten any further with it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
But
trying to
that is
gain an
a good
understanding
idea.
on why it was happening.
Yeah, that is a good idea because I don't. There was there in Lincoln City lived in an apartment, and the building was from the 1930s, and I had a lot of paranormal experiences there. And somebody said that there was this one door that always kept locked, but they found out that there is a drop there, and that there was a lot of body bones in there, and they seemed very serious about it. So I don't know. I didn't see it for myself, but when I'd be walking around the building at night, I could feel the presence, and I was getting ready to go to work one night, and all of a sudden this bright light just flashed like a great big bright uh, light bulb on a camera, old fashioned camera. And I thought maybe one of the lights, and I walked all over through the halls and nothing. And I feel as though they were just letting me know they were there, or they were taking a picture of me, one of the two. And then I was working nights that night, and I came home, and there was an old fashioned clothespin laying on my pillow. And the door was locked at night, nobody could get in, and there was this clothespin laying there. And then I'd go up into the attic where there were storages, and I could feel their presence up in the attic. And I would sit there and just talk to them. It was great. And that place is still, they still have it as apartments there in Lincoln City. I don't recall the name of it right offhand, but it's there in Lincoln City, and it's a big place.
Yeah, that's interesting. And just, I don't know. I don't want to offend you or, because everybody has their own beliefs. Just be careful if you
Right.
ever do contact these things or invite them in or do anything
Oh,
that communicates with them. And just be careful, all right?
oh, I will, and I really appreciate I agree with you on that totally, because you could be inviting something that you don't want, and it could be not good.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've done it before with paranormal activity. I've tried to communicate with them or use an EMF detector or just ask questions. And, it's not just like, oh, something might show up and scare the crap out of you. Like, this could be a lifelong effect, and you may never be able to get rid of it. And it's not just paranormal activity happening, it can be like a series of negative events that happen in stages throughout your life. And I just don't want that for anybody.
No, I really don't either.
Yeah.
That would be horrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like there's any connection with the paranormal and the Sasquatch? Because the Native Americans would call them evil spirits, and people attribute like special abilities with these creatures, like they can do strange things. And I've seen it before, as far as the orbs, and have had invisible bipedal creatures walking in the woods next to me. Um, just strange things.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, the only thing I know with the natives that Sasquatch is sacred to the natives. But although they won't go out in the woods and look for them or anything. They just let them be them, and just let them be on their own. They
Yeah.
don't feel like necessary to go out and do all of that.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
understand it, you know, maybe take out and leave gifts. And Sasquatches are known to leave gifts also.
Hmm.
I I've seen, well, I haven't had it personally done myself, but on some of these shows I've watched where Squatches would leave a gift on a log, or even on a patio or something at one time. And I believe it can really happen. It's just amazing. And I believe that if I went out camping, as much as I'd love to, because my wife and I both love to camp, um, eventually, when they get to trust you, there's a little bit more communication with them.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I feel like the
that's
Native
my
Americans were just as confused as we are today about the subject. And, a lot of people think they're good. A lot of people think they're evil. Some people leave them gifts. There's a lot of stories where they harass like women and children. People go missing. And with the Native Americans, you hear that, it's their big brother. And, they would communicate with them or exchange gifts. And then you hear other tribes say that the hairy man is evil. It's an evil spirit. They'll take you. They'll eat you. They'll take women and children. And to stay away from them, don't talk about it.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
It,
it's hard to
there,
say.
yeah, it really is, and I know it probably pretty sure has happened, or it can happen. People can get hurt. They can hurt people.
Yeah,
But when that one was screaming at me that day, though, I mean, I don't know. I could honestly say I don't know what I would have done at that point if they would have stood up. I don't know what I would have done.
yeah. Did
But
you ever
they were.
approach the creature, or did you just keep your distance?
I actually wanted to cross the river, but it was kind of high water and cold, and it was like he's in his territory. I'm in my territory right now, so I just let him scream, and then once I told him I was leaving and going back to my home, they quit screaming.
What did the
And
scream sound like?
it was a deep scream, really deep and real loud. I mean, it made my chest rattle. And if you ever hear anybody on a show saying it makes your chest rattle, it does. It That's the only way to explain it. And it kind of make your ears hurt a little bit too because it's loud.
Yeah,
So I had a hunch it was an adult. It didn't. I don't think a young one would sound that deep, but it was really deep.
yeah. And do you
So,
plan on going back to that area, or are you looking for
oh
new
yeah,
areas?
I love that area. That's where I go every time I go out. I go in that around that area all the time, and I've had luck every time I've gone out. I've seen new evidence, or I'd hear a whistle or get a knock or something every time. So it's it's really a good area right at this point anyway. We'll see what it brings, what the universe brings for the spring and summer for being out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish you nothing but luck and safety on your adventures. And if you ever experience or encounter anything else, feel free to reach back out to me.
Oh, I will definitely do that because I always like to share. I have a Bigfoot book. It's actually fur with a footprint on it, and I've written my journal and stuff with the Bigfoot and the paranormal experiences in it. And I always have something for the people that go out to keep notes, or, if they want to write down whatever experience they've had so they can look back later on and say, this is my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. All right, Ty. Well, I appreciate you for getting in contact with me and sharing your knowledge with all of us here on Sasquatch Theory.
Well, thank you very much, and you have a great day and happy holidays to you and to everybody.
Yeah, you too. Happy holidays and be safe out there, my friend.
I will. You too.
All right.
Take care.
Yep. Bye.
All right, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot encounter with me, Ty, and it was certainly very, very interesting to hear about these experiences that you had from the state of Oregon. And yeah, again, the nest, that's just really interesting. I hear about people talking about these Bigfoot nests all over North America, and it's really cool. I've seen photos of them in the past, whether people found them here in the Mark Twain National Forest in Missouri or in Minnesota or Oregon, and they just look like these giant igloo structures of trees and branches being weaved together, and I do believe they are created by Bigfoot. I don't think it's a home for them. I think it's just for fun or possibly for the little ones. What are your guys' thoughts about that? Let me know down in the comments below. I would really like to hear about what you guys think about these Sasquatch nests. And yeah, it's really cool. That means that they're having little ones in remote areas, and you can find evidence of these creatures or beings or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, the fact that you found tracks, you've been screamed at, you've heard wood knocks, you've seen these creatures by the waterways. We hear that a lot as well. These creatures are following the water, and yeah, it makes sense. A big creature like this would need to be around water, and it's the same way with white-tailed deer or turkey. They're always around the creeks or the rivers. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for listening. If you guys can, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and comment down below. And of course, if you have a Bigfoot encounter, feel free to reach out to me. With all that being said, until the next one, you guys be safe out in the forest.